Hey, what's up? My name is Aurelia Michael-Holmgren, and I am the proud founder of the Goal Setter Success Club and Voice on Demand. And I am so excited to introduce to you my newest and now most favorite free masterclass, How 7 Underrated Habits Changed My Life in Just 8 Months. Did I mention I made 6 figures that year for the first time too? Maybe I should have called it the 678 Masterclass. Okay, let's be serious now. That's not to brag. That's just to say that this will not only help your mental, physical, and emotional well-being, but it'll help your pockets as well. Anybody have a problem with that? I know I didn't. But anyway, I'll let you go. Enjoy the class. I'll be right here when you get back. Hello again, and welcome to my new free masterclass from the Bronx to Broadway. How 7 Underrated Habits Changed My Life in Just 8 Months. These are the tools that I've used to help me get from the Bronx to Broadway, to my bodybuilding career, and now to soon having a baby, or maybe by the time you're watching this, she already exists. So out of all of the roles that I have played and all of the hats that I have worn, whether that was on Broadway, regional theater, being a life coach, I've been an image consultant. I've worn a lot of different hats. I've sold merchandise. I still sell merchandise. We sell our planners now, but I used to sell t-shirts back then. I used to do all the things. Out of all of that, nothing lights me up more than sharing my experiences, the good, the bad, everything in between, with amazing people like you, because I am truly obsessed, healthily obsessed with community and building community. So whether you're here for VO or general life and career coaching, I know this masterclass will help unlock some once perceived closed doors in your way of thinking, acting, and experiencing your day-to-day life. All right, let's get into it. Part 1, why I created this masterclass to begin with. So what was even my reasoning for doing this? One is the constant hustle and bustle of life that we can all find ourselves getting swept up in. That external pressure to keep up with the quote unquote Joneses, whoever these people are, and the constant internal comparison with other people's maybe social media success highlights or things that you see your friends doing. And it's even easier to overlook the simple but not always easy habits that over time can shape our mental, physical, emotional, financial success, and beyond. And while I hope that this class brings you all the tangible achievements of your dreams, that's what I want, nothing more than, I'm honestly more concerned and focused on helping you create a foundation of habits that continuously empower you and ultimately inspire others around you to do the same. I talk a lot about building a house, and a lot of times we tend to build our emotional, spiritual, physical houses from the attic down. And we all know that's not how houses are built. So we have to have a strong foundation. And we're only as great as the legacy that we work to leave behind. But it all starts with that strong foundation. Let's get into the 7 areas of life. I do this with all of my clients. We cover these 7 areas when I'm working with my life coaching clients, based on where they feel they need the most support. And each underrated habit that we'll go through can be connected to at least one of these 7 core areas of life. And just achieving things through a holistic view is how I like to do things. So they're health and wellness, career, relationships and connection, finances, lifestyle and entertainment, spirituality and peace, fun and creativity. And I love this picture because every time I'm in a new theater and I get in there for the first time, like I can just feel the energy of all the people that have been there as performers. Something like art gets to change people. And I'm sure how whatever field you are in, what you're doing is able to change people sometimes that you may never even truly interact with. So I'm going to give you some homework. You might want to stop now. You might be that person that says, Aurelia, you can't give me the homework and then keep talking. I need a beat. So you may want to do the homework right now. You are more than welcome. So the first thing I want you to do is to go back and write down the 7 areas on a large sheet of paper, or if you're like me and you love a good Google Doc or a Google Sheet, write down across all 7 areas. You can do it on more than one sheet of paper. underneath each one, jot down how you would rate yourself on a 1 to 10 scale. Right underneath, just say, I give myself a 6 right now, or I give myself a 10. Honestly, I'm killing it. Or when was the last time I went to the gym? I'll give myself a 1. After you do some honest reflection, I want you to write out what you'd like your rating to be 90 days from today. So you can even date it if you want. What would you like that number to be? Maybe it's exactly where you want it. So you may not need to touch that area of life as much. Or maybe you're being honest with yourself and saying, dang, now that you don't call me out, I need to work on this area and I need things to move and shake in the next 3 months. Then the last thing you're going to do is create 3 specific, measurable. We know all about SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, et cetera, et cetera. 3 specific / measurable action steps that you can take to up that rating. So I'm going to give you an example. It's not a real life example of mine, but I think it'll be helpful. So let's say for finance. So finances is my thing. I love talking about money, probably too much. So my rating would be a 5, but this is just for example. So your current rating is a 5, no judgment. Where would you like to be in 90 days? An 8. Wonderful. What are 3 action steps that I can take moving forward to help get me basically a point a month? So the first one I wrote was create a monthly budget to include necessary purchases, as well as an example, $50 toward desired purchases by the end of the week. And by the end of the week means I'm going to create that monthly budget in the next 7 days. And that $50, I say desired versus unnecessary, because sometimes even an unnecessary thing just helps you with the necessary things like that you need to get done in life and pushes you through. So we want to get $50 toward the desired things that you may not necessarily need, but would be beneficial in helping you get through your month. Second is to download a money management app, something like Rocket Money, and track all of your daily spending and review it every Sunday. Take 30 minutes on a Sunday just to look at how you've spent your money. Because what happens to a lot of us, for example, is the compound effect. We don't buy a few things that are expensive. We buy a lot of inexpensive things pretty often, and they add up. And then third, I'm all about getting people involved. So ask a best friend to join you on a 30-day Budgetnista or Budgetnisto challenge and see who can spend the least and save the most. So make a little game out of it. Make it fun, make it exciting, make it challenging. And then that way it doesn't feel like a chore, feel like a burden, because particularly with finances, I think that's a very taboo topic that people don't really often want to talk about. But I think it's important because it affects a lot of the other things we have going on in life. So I want you to do this for each area and then email me at hello@goalsettersuccess.com and tell me all about it. Don't forget that part. That is important. All right, let's move into part 2. We'll talk about the 7 underrated habits. So just naming them out. 7 underrated habits. 1, establishing and counterbalancing your priorities. What does that even mean? We'll get to it. Creating micro promises and honoring those commitments. Scheduling learning and advancement like a scholar. Engaging in conversations that build, not break. Practicing daily gratitude activities. Documenting big and small wins and milestones. And then lastly, designing daily environments that match, if not surpass, your desires. And we're just going to go one by one, what this means, some of my ideas around it, and hopefully these things speak to you so you can say, okay, out of these 7, which ones have I really not been committing to as much, and which ones maybe I'm killing it and I got to give myself a pat on the back for. So first one we have is establishing and counterbalancing your priorities. And I put a quote with each one. This one is from Queen Oprah. I've learned that you can't have everything and do everything at the same time. I had to really grapple with this idea because I was convinced I could be a choreographer, I could be a performer, I could be a voiceover coach and artist, all in the same capacity, the same amount, 100%, But when you really realize that time can only be divided, it can't be multiplied, there's absolutely no way everything is getting 100%. Even if one thing's getting 100%, that means everything else is getting sacrificed. So when you surrender to this idea that you can't have everything and do everything at the same time, you're learning better how to establish what your priorities are and then counterbalance them, which I'll talk about in a second. So some of the things we need to do: identify what truly matters in this season the most. It can rotate, it can change, you can be flexible. What matters the most, and more importantly, what doesn't? Because we can find ourselves focusing on something for a whole year that we're like 6 months in, we probably should have given it less time, less energy, or put it away altogether. But our ego says, well, we committed in January, so we need to do this for the entire year. And it doesn't have to be like that. So make sure you're identifying what actually matters to you in this season. Then you're going to order your priorities by weighted importance. Okay, the most top 3 things for me this season is my health, my finances, and time with my family. Okay, now I need to put those in the order of what is most important to me. And there's no judgment. You may say, I love my family, but just spending 5 minutes with them a week is going to be a good starting point. Okay, then maybe that's number 3. And we put everything else as number 1 or 2. Then understand the difference between balance and counterbalance. So I got this from a book I read once, and he talks about balance. And as I said earlier, if you're balancing everything, then everything's getting a piece. It's not getting really enough attention. It's kind of like downloading, for all my folks out there that downloaded CDs back in the day. If you try to download all of an album at one time, it moves like dit, 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 dit. But if you do 2 or 3 songs at a time, it always felt like it was moving faster. So this idea is that there's this line, the balance line, and we cross it into what is important for the moment. And then right when we get a good stride, enough for it to continue on its own or for us to come back to it, we start to come back to center and cross into the next thing. And so we're doing this weaving versus constantly trying to focus on everything at the same time. Then know and accept when it's time to pivot. I don't know why it is so hard for us. It may be an ego thing again, but we get so committed to a title, to what people say we're good at, to doing something for so long just because we've been doing it for so long, that it's hard for us to say, okay, it is time to pivot. Either this is not working or this is not working for me. So starting to figure out and accept that as long as I'm pivoting on purpose, more than likely I'm going to win because I'm being proactive instead of reactive when I have no choice. And lastly, build tangible structure and a weekly rhythm that are process goal focused. So we have our outcome goals: lose 50 pounds. It's a general number. It doesn't say when, it doesn't say how, it doesn't say why. Process goals say, by going to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m., by sending a picture to my best friend after each workout, by committing to a sustainable, healthy diet that I'm going to have created or I'm going to purchase by Saturday. Being process goal focused versus just the outcome. So next up, let's talk about creating micro promises and honoring those commitments. Be the person who keeps their word, who honors their commitments even when it isn't convenient. Lucy McDonald. Not always easy to do. Not always easy to commit to. It's easy to say in the beginning, yeah, sure, I got you. Then sometimes things happen or we allow things to happen and that next week isn't looking as promising. But I want you to start with small, specific commitments. Self-trust should be earned, not just given. You know, sometimes you say, well, and trust me. What does your track record look like? Are you trustworthy? And that starts with making small, specific commitments to yourself. And then track your completion versus perfection. There's always going to be room for improvement. But did I complete this? Or even a step below that, is there progress happening? A lot of times we look like we're looking for perfection, but I think we're honestly just looking for progression. So how can I start to be aware of progression and celebrate that versus just waiting to get to this perfect part that doesn't often exist? Take intentional time weekly to honor the promises you've kept and the discipline it took to commit to them. So whether that's on Sundays, you're setting your list of priorities and commitments for the week, and you're going through how those are going to happen, or Sunday nights, you're reviewing everything. Taking intentional time. What are the promises? Maybe there's 2 to 3 you want to make to yourself that week. What do I want to honor this week? That way you can always oversell and underdeliver and not just check a box, but really fill it. And then lastly, share your weekly wins with those who are cheering you on the sidelines. I can't express enough how important it is. Sometimes we feel like, oh, nobody cares. Nobody's really listening. Nobody will want to know. Let your scene partners say their lines. Let your scene partners say their lines. Celebrate your wins with others. And I promise you, that is going to be part of the momentum that you need to keep pushing forward. Let's talk about scheduling, learning, and advancement like a scholar. And this is big for me because I'm in the process of getting back into studying Spanish and recognizing that I need to do it closer to what I was doing in school than what I'm doing now. Learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Famous proverb. So some of the things we can do: create your 2 whys behind all new learning adventures. You want to learn how to play the piano. You want to learn how to dance. You want to learn how to drive stick shift. I don't know. Create your 2 whys. 1 why is for you. 1 why is beyond you. So let's say my goal was Broadway. The why for me was because all my life I have focused on a million different things. And I was like, well, what if I just focus on one thing? Could I make that dream happen? But where it went beyond me was I wanted every Black and brown girl from the Bronx to know you did not have to kick your face, be the best tapper, be the best singer. You just needed to be your most authentic self, study as hard as you can, and zero in on that one thing, and you can do it. And so on the days where me just wanting to prove I could focus on one thing wasn't enough to get me up at 6 a.m. for auditions that I may not even get seen for, that bigger why was super helpful. So with any goal that you're creating, and I do this with every client, make sure you have 2 whys, one for you and one that is bigger and beyond you. Then we have treat continuing education like a lifestyle, not a freestyle. So with my Spanish, sometimes I'll be like, I'll do it for 10 minutes in the morning, maybe 10 minutes tomorrow afternoon, maybe 10 minutes the next day at night. But when we were in school, Spanish was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 9:50. And that consistency in a way helped us knowing our commitment. Okay, that means on the opposite days, I need to do homework, etc. So making sure that we're treating our education or whatever we're learning like a lifestyle, like you're in school again, and not a freestyle where you're just kind of improving and going with the flow. Curate your own personal syllabus in whatever topic, skill, or career shift you desire to learn about. So you remember a good old syllabus had chapters and what we would cover from the beginning to the end. So if maybe you're trying to pivot into a different type of job, okay, what are the steps that we need to take, and turn those steps into your own personal syllabus. Then we have set measurable and realistic outcomes. In my mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to get a new tutor, and in 2 months, I'm going to be fluent. Now, it's not saying I couldn't be fluent in 2 months, but I would need to spend hours and hours, not just reading, not just writing, not just listening, but immersing in conversation. So make sure that once you're setting these outcomes, that they're measurable and, most importantly, realistic. So now let's jump into engaging in conversations that build, not break. Conversation is a meeting of minds with different memories and habits. Conversation doesn't just reshuffle the cards, it creates new ones. Theodore Zeldin. First and foremost, I know we talk about spring cleaning in the event of like our homes, but sometimes you have to do some inventory check and spring cleaning even for your relationships, your connections. So the first thing is to evaluate your circles, because if the people in your life are not assets, they're most likely liabilities. And something I had to learn was not to confuse the length of time with the strength of time. So I may have known you since I was 2 years old, but that doesn't mean our relationship is stronger than someone I met 2 months ago. It's really about the quality of time we have spent together. So sometimes we'll find ourselves still in conversations that are, honestly, let's keep it a buck, beneath us. And we're doing it because we've been around this person. We love this person. We've known them so long. But do not confuse the quality of your conversation with the amount of times that you've had some. Practice dialogue that edifies, uplifts, and replenishes. Don't you love a good conversation where you leave feeling 10 times better if it was something that had happened, or you feel inspired, or you've just had a great collaborative chat? Like, those are the kind of conversations that feed my soul for days on end. Or even just thinking about some of my friends makes me just want to be, do, act, speak better. So start practicing dialogue that does that. And that may mean you need to say to people, set those boundaries around gossip and negativity, or you're like me, the strong friend everyone comes to. Be the one that they come to because they're looking for solution. They're looking to be heard. But sometimes when we vent, we invent. That's something one of my pastors said. When you vent, sometimes you invent. So you want to make sure, even if someone's coming to get something off their chest, that you should both be leaving lighter. You shouldn't be picking up their load. You shouldn't be, yeah, you need to do this and you need to do that. Set boundaries around gossiping about other people in general. If you wouldn't say it to their face or they wouldn't say it to their face, then it's probably a conversation that doesn't need to be had. And around negativity, those people that just always have a problem, something is always wrong. Set boundaries around them. And then lastly, seek out conversations that stretch your way of thinking and can spark change or growth. So I'm always trying not to be the smartest person in the room, the most knowledgeable person in the room, the most outgoing person in the room. I want to learn from other people. And my dad always says, I never learned anything while speaking. So doing more listening, asking more questions, getting more involved with people who lift up your spirit, who make you want to do better, as opposed to the opposite. All right, practicing daily gratitude activities. So I would say this is probably the most common, like if we had to say the least underrated would be practice daily gratitude activities, because we hear this a lot. Have gratitude, gratitude. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Melody Beatty. Set your morning practice with intention and self-relevancy. So what I find is sometimes we'll read something and it says you need to start stretching as soon as you work up and journal and start chanting and this and that. Do things that are relevant for you. Do things that excite you. Do things that warm your day up. Create your morning practice that is best for you and not just a carbon copy of something you've seen on the internet. Express gratitude outwardly. I really believe that your appreciation for others can lead to appreciating yourself more. Thank you so much for looking over that email for me. Thank you for getting back to me about that request from last week. Thank you for just being in my life. You make me want to be better. I find it hard for people to say they can love other people if they don't truly also love themselves. So I believe when you're showing appreciation for others, you have to have a certain level of appreciation for yourself. And we don't want to sometimes compliment others and give them so much praise that we realize, wait, I'm forgetting to show gratitude for the things that I'm showing up and doing and lacking that appreciation and love of self. Find your method for gratitude documentation, and just like money, save it for the rainy days. So when you have that list of things that you've been successful in, things that you're grateful for, the blessings in your life, then when those days come, whether literal rainy days or you just feeling the blues, go back to those lists and look at all the beautiful things you have. And you can go as basic as the computer or phone you're using right now, being able to go get a hair appointment, a massage, being able to buy something without looking at the tag. I don't know, whatever it is for you, write down all those things that you're grateful for. I have to remind myself of these small and big things when those moments come where I'm feeling the blues or I'm feeling like, oh, what do I have to be thankful for? And then end the day with a practice that sets you up for tomorrow's success. So sometimes we'll have a beautiful morning practice. The day will flow and it will go. And then it's time for bed and we're up till 4, or we're comparing ourselves to someone on social media, or we're chomping on some chips in the middle of the night. Create a nighttime practice that is going to set you up for tomorrow's success and what that means for you. All right, let's dive now into documenting big and small wins. Once you start celebrating the little victories in life, you will realize just how infinite they truly are. Alicia Amamdi, I hope I said that right. Underselling and over delivering. I should just put it on a t-shirt at this point because I preach it all the time. This helps winning become second nature. When I'm doing a voiceover job and they're like, hey, could you get it to us by Friday? Sure, I will definitely get it to you by Friday. In my mind, I'm going to get it to you by Wednesday. And when I do, I am underselling. I'm saying I'll give until Friday, but then I over deliver. So sometimes when we have a goal in mind, we're like, I'm going to do this every day. Well, if you haven't been doing it every day, more than likely, one, you're not going to reach that goal. Two, if you do, you're going to do it simply because the ego says, I said I would do it every day. I have to honor this commitment. And we know I'm all about honoring a commitment, but your commitment also has to be realistic. There's no point in checking the box if you can't fill it. There's no point in checking a box if you can't fill it. So there's no point in saying, oh, I did this for 7 days when you really only wanted to do it for 3. Start with 2. And then if you, oh, I'm feeling good, I'm going to add a 3rd day. So we're underselling and over delivering. Design a proof of progress log, your own personal success tracker, a list of all the things you've done, the progression you've made that you consider successful, so that you can look back at the end of the month. Oh, wow, I did 15 things, because we often forget the things we've done well, and we have a hard time forgetting the things that didn't work in our favor. So create your own progress tracker. And I'm going to shameless plug the 90-day goal planner at aureliamichael.com/planner. Has a success tracker in the back. And then lastly, jot down a list of small and big ways to celebrate your accomplishments. Get you some ice cream, new clothes, much needed vacation, a spa day. I don't know, whatever it is, already have a list of ways you want to treat yourself, not cheat yourself. And then that way, when you get to those achievements, you're excited because you know what's on the other side and you know how hard you have worked for it. And last but not least, let's talk about designing daily environments that match your desires. You are a product of your environment. So choose the one that will best develop you toward your objective. Are the things around you helping or holding you back? W. Clement Stone. Audit the physical spaces you frequent the most on a daily basis, whether that's in your home, office, your boo's house, the park, wherever you go, wherever you find yourself going daily, the local coffee shop, evaluate those spaces. Are they a help or a hindrance? Remove the inconveniences, remove the distractions, and add a touch of inspiration. What places do you go to that inspire you? Maybe we need to switch up where we're going so that we're going to places more of inspiration than of feeling jealousy or comparing ourselves, or being in spaces where we're tolerated and not celebrated. Create visual cues and a clean space to align with your goals and the space you need to be in to most efficiently bring them to life. So whether that's using, I have everything at my desk, whether that's using Post-its, whether that's using notes on your phone, whether that's putting up a notebook right next to your bed, whatever it is, create visual cues. You can put these up on your mirror. Visible cues, and have a clean space where you can see everything, because I believe cluttered space, cluttered mind. Create these cues, whether they're affirmations, whether they're to-do lists, whatever you need, put it in your sight. Out of sight, out of mind. We know how that goes. So create the visual cues that you need to make sure that things you want to happen, or ways you want to feel, or things you want to remind yourself of, you're able to do easily on a daily basis. Surround yourself with sound, sense, and support that promotes your needed level of focus. So when I talk about sounds, are you listening to some smooth jazz that just gets you in the writing mood? If you're like, I need to bang something out. Are you listening to music that makes you start to act and feel and be a certain way that's not you? Are you constantly listening to people complain about X, Y, and Z? Surround yourself with sounds that promote focus, that promote upliftment. Scents. Sometimes things like oils, the smell of eucalyptus, it just gets me. These are things people don't do. But think about aromatherapy, think about diffusers, think about the sounds and scents that can just get you in the place and the space you need to be in to match the desires and the goals that you have for yourself. And then, of course, support. Have the strongest, my top 5, I call them like my starting lineup, are nothing to mess with. Not just because they're the top marketing executives at their job, or they're on Broadway, or they're making six figures in their entrepreneurship job, but just because of who they are. And when I think of them and how they show up for me and how they celebrate me and how they contribute to my day to day, those people are so important because we'll find ourselves with people who kind of support or who kind of question us every time we're trying to make an advancement, because it's hard to tell big goals to small vision people. And sometimes that be your own family, be your closest friends, it could be your partner. So really do some evaluating in your literal space, your mental, emotional space. Do you have the sounds, the sense, and the support that promotes your needed level of focus? And then be willing to explore new places and spaces that will allow your mind to expand, ideas to overflow, and joy through it all to shine. You should be around places and spaces where they want nothing more than for you to shine, because me shining does not dim your light. It just brightens up on you. If I'm right next to you and I'm shining, if your light isn't as bright, I'm even shining on top of you. I'm helping you out. But if you find yourself around people who are constantly trying to dim your light, it's time to explore new places, spaces, and faces. Ooh, come on. She's a rapper. Don't you love it? Got skills to pay the bills. Okay, so now what? Where do we go from here? First, take a beat, get something to eat, come back or come back tomorrow. Take a look at this list. What are the ones that I feel like I can definitely use some work in? What are the ones I may feel like I'm excelling? Prioritize them and then start to work on them one by one. They each have action steps that you can use to get closer to overrating these underrated habits. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed creating it. Let me know what stood out to you. Let me know what stuck with you. Let me know what you're excited to implement into your own life. And email me at hello@goalsettersuccess.com because I want to know. Then go head over to goalsettersuccess.com. Not only will you get the resources that I know will help you in every aspect of life, you'll get my monthly motivational emails, you'll join us for our monthly group chat, you'll do weekly check-ins with me, and you will get a one-on-one virtual coaching session with me. And I know what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it tenfold. So let's get started and let's set some of those goals you have on fire.